Have you always wanted to start your own business? Do you have an innovative idea or an invention, but just don't know how to turn it into a company? Are you already in business and need some help growing? The BRF's Entrepreneurial Accelerator Program can help. At EAP, we work alongside you, helping you with things like financial modeling, funding strategy, pitch preparation, and marketing strategy. So what are you waiting for? Go to eapla.com today and set up a time to talk with our team. Let EAP help you launch or grow your business in North Louisiana today.
Welcome back to On The Cusp. We're starting season 7, and this is a special one because I got my co-host Matt Snyder back with me. I've got Gilley Milam with me. She did episode 2 with us when we started this. And what we wanted to do is take a few minutes and really just kind of go through some of the episodes and some of the things that we've learned out of this. And I'll start with my favorite episode on this. We'll just start with that, and then we'll jump into some stuff. But, you know, as a Army guy, veteran, you know, we had Bill Bailey on, and Bill, you know, told a very, very compassionate story about why, as the president of Radiance Technology, why Shreveport, and why he's doing that.
He was a great example of the guy that has gone away and sees so much value in our area and is giving back to it.
And the potential. The potential.
And that is like, you see that in the community a lot. It's almost like the people that see the most in our area have either left or are not even from here at all.
And that's my story. Left, came back, and said, we've got a ton of potential here. So yeah.
So what's your favorite one, Gilley?
Mine has to be Tony Durham Transport. I mean, just hearing her story about working so hard. I mean, driving a truck by herself with no AC and literally pouring cold water on herself just to, I think it's an example of tenacity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just will not quit, fight and make it happen, because she had a dream, she had a goal, and she's getting there.
And that's her nature. Even today, that business continues to grow, and she's out there trying to add trucks, add room in her academy for drivers, and expand her parking lot. Every time you talk to her, man, she is growing and doing
all
things.
Entrepreneurs are good. Anybody that opens a business is good. But that's what I call like a real entrepreneur. That's like I'm going to eat through this table if I have to succeed entrepreneur. And I think when you get those people together, like, that's fun.
The fight.
But that's what we wanted. So what's your favorite?
I think my favorite, and he's a friend of mine, but my favorite is probably Randolph Smith. I just really love visiting with him, but I also really love what he's doing. I like people that take on things that were always supposed to be this way. This is how you do this. Don't question it. And Randolph is taking a global idea of how real estate works and proving it can be done better right here out of Shreveport.
Absolutely.
And nobody's talking about it. I also love when we get to break something like that a little bit.
Right.
And so that's probably my favorite.
He is. That is an interesting story. And a lot of people don't realize how many things are actually headquarters out of Shreveport right now.
Yeah, the whole Shreveport-Bossier area.
That's right.
Yeah.
There are more things going on. I mean, it may not be the 500-person company that we all thought about was a big company.
Yeah.
You know, everybody was located in one place. They're everywhere. You might have 100 people in your company.
But if you've
here.
ever managed 100 people, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
You know, that's a big company, and I want to bring that up. You know, Dave, we internally have talked about, we don't like the name small business.
Yeah.
We don't really like that because it almost has a negative connotation, like your business is small.
Right.
You know, I own a business, and we don't have a ton of employees, but it's not small to me.
Yeah.
There's nothing small about it.
I was going to say that, and this may be one of the things me and Dave don't agree on, but I hate the scaling a business on the employees. The impact I've been able to make on this city through events and my just influence on 25 different business owners and all that is maybe more impactful than some businesses that have 40 employees.
Tax revenue.
Absolutely.
tax revenue.
Absolutely. I think what we need to do is change our vernacular and take the term small business out. Because if it's you, there is nothing small about
And a
it.
small business can make huge ripples. We could sit here and I could tell you about Cleveland Spears in New Orleans starting the fried chicken festival, him and his friends, and it doing $2 million in year 2, and like whatever. In changing, he named his festival in year 2 the International Fried Chicken Festival. He's one guy. That's not small results.
There's
You know,
nothing
like-
small about it. You have family-owned businesses. Why can't we change the vernacular to individually owned business?
I love it.
Right.
Okay? And change the way we think about that. And by the way, one of my daughters came up with that because we were driving someplace and we were going to dinner and I was sitting there and I said, man, I just hate that word. And she says, well, it's really an individually owned business. Why don't you just refer to it as that? And I said, okay, I'll float it. See what happens.
I love that.
Okay. So you've got a FOB, all right, family-owned business. Now you have an IOB, okay, individually owned business. So maybe that'll stick.
I just think like people look at last time you were with us, we talked business plans.
Yep.
The other thing that's like down that lane to me is I'm gonna start a business, I've got to form an LLC or I've got to form a company. And people get like all weird about that. It's like such a big step and they don't know how to do it. I'm like, just form it. It's not hard.
That's right. Just take that first step.
Y'all are here.
Right,
And
we're there
then
to
you're
hold
an
our hand,
individual,
for
then
sure.
you're a business owner.
That's right.
That's
And then
correct.
you can figure it out from there.
That's right.
Yep.
So let's talk about what we've learned.
Okay.
I mean, if we've been doing this now for a while, and Dave, you've been here
Right.
for 10 years, and
Okay,
so,
I'll lead with that thought. It takes longer than you think. That's
is
the first thing I learned. I mean, you think you can go out, start an LLC, rent someplace, and you're just going to show up tomorrow and poof, you're there. Okay? I wish it was that easy, that quick. Okay? But there's a little more to it, and you're not going to be able to do it in a day. Now, you might be able to do it in a week. You definitely can do it in a month.
The ones I love, though, I love the entrepreneur that's got to do it, like I was.
They don't have any
like,
choice.
I've got
Yeah.
2 weeks to make a paycheck.
survive. Yeah.
And then you do it, and then you figure it out on your way, and you find a way. And so many of the people we talked to in these 60-something episodes were that. Like, some of the most exciting stories we've heard on here have been, I jumped off this cliff, and I had no investors, very little time, and I came to EAP and I talked to y'all, or I did this or that, and it started.
So it's all about generating revenue, right? I mean,
Yep.
at the end of the day, those people that are jumping off that cliff, they're like,
That's
I've
right.
got to make that money. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons learned for me over the past, 9, 10 years is it takes a while. You can open up, have your shingle out there. Even though you're generating invoices, it might take 60, 90, 120
Yes.
days to get that revenue in the door and realize it. And so I think that was kind of an eye-opener for me is you can put it out there, you can be working your tail off, but at the end of the day, when does that money actually
Yes.
start? Those
and
checks
it comes
hit the
to the
bank
next
account.
lesson learned, which is you really got to know your customer.
Yeah.
You got to know the inside workings of your customer. If you're doing something and you know they can write checks in 30 days to pay you for your service, you need to know that.
Yeah.
What we find a lot of times is that most companies don't pay, okay, on a 30-day cycle. So you're sitting there thinking, okay, I'm going to, get this check. I'm going to pay my employees. I'm going to keep everything going like this. And they have a 60-day cycle. And for a lot of technology companies, it's a 60, sometimes it's a 90. And they're not prepared for that. They didn't know that customer that well.
Yeah.
And if you get a government contract, which everybody, that's kind of like the goal of, I want to get a government contract because you feel like you're guaranteed that money.
Yeah.
You might be, but it might take 120 days
It may
for it to
take.
hit the bank account.
Yeah, you got to understand, just because you submitted a proposal doesn't mean that proposal is going to get read, evaluated, and awarded in 30 days.
I've got 2 things that I think I've learned. on this podcast. The one thing we learned very quickly, as people want to hear success stories about Shreveport, and I've been blown away by how many people have listened to this podcast. Just yesterday, I was at a concert in Providence, and this girl that I really don't know well came up to me and was like, I just listened to the new episode. I love this. I'm getting people all over town when they tell me there's nothing to do. And like, I've had that happen so many times, and that's really neat because it's not the people that I think when we started this that I thought would be listening. Mm-hmm. These aren't like the dialed in people that we see at everything and all that. These are just people in the neighborhood, people in the community. That's cool. The other thing I've learned through talking to all these entrepreneurs is that blind passion is hard to deny. The ones that sat here that just had the passion of like everybody was telling them no. John Dudley, Brad Simon comes to mind. Like those guys were undeniable. Like they were crashing through Sarah Lauder, the Louders. They were gonna do it no matter what. And that's hard to stop, I feel like.
I think that's one of the key components to a lot of their successes. All the people that you talked about was nothing was going to stop them.
Brad was told about 100, probably 1,000 people that wouldn't work.
Yeah, that'll never work. That'll never work.
So one of the other lessons learned that I think for me, and it's kind of with that vein of the Brad Simons or maybe even the Louders and several others, is you have to be able to change courses just a little bit to keep moving forward.
That's what the good ones do.
Right.
Yes.
If something's not working, you got to be able to kind of make that little shift to say, okay, that didn't work, fail fast, go a different, and it may not be a 180, you don't have to completely change, but make those tweaks, and you got to be able to do it quickly though.
It's unbelievable. I was thinking about this last night when I was at this concert series in Providence I'm putting on. I didn't open an event company 10 years ago. I opened a marketing company representing local businesses, and we started doing events because we needed events and wanted to go to events. Over half my income now is from events, putting on for other people. Well, I had a lot of really failures. You know, I got attacked. I had a lot of battles, and some of those things don't exist today and failed. But I wouldn't have all this other business. I wouldn't have done the official tailgate party at the Independence Bowl and be putting on what I think will be the best concert series in Shreveport history, you know, without all those failures.
Absolutely. And failure for entrepreneurs is not a bad thing. It's failing fast. That's key. And recognizing it and then changing. Because, you know, a lot of the people we've had on here, COVID hurt them bad.
Right.
Others, you would have thought COVID shut them down. But like Snowball Streetcars, she came on here and said, hey, I was in such high demand, I couldn't meet the demand.
The girl from Minden made her social media presence.
She just did that coffee shop. You know, she was on here. Her social media, you know, is incredible. I just saw her when I was coming up the stairs, all right? And I was looking at it and what she's doing. She's mastered that social media, which leads me to another lessons learned. A lot of people want to literally outsource their social media.
Yeah.
And they spend a whole lot of money doing that. And that's hard. Most people don't get what they want out of it. Where you look at the ones that kept it in-house and they did it until it got so big they couldn't manage it, then they outsourced it.
I think that
knowing when to do that has been key for a lot of people.
That's a new talent that can go both ways, and I see it all the time. Because yes, if you're good at social media, that's great. But there's also way more of the business owners I deal with are not good at all at social media.
Right.
So you're going from nothing to something, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, social media is just an animal of its own, and it's so tough because it's changing constantly.
Right.
Yep.
If we talk about social media today and then we watch this 2 years from now, everything we said is
It'll be a different
wrong.
platform.
When I started my events, the second year of Crawfest, we put the Crawfest event out, and I went into a meeting. We published it. I hit published, walked into a meeting, came out an hour and a half later, opened to see what it was doing, and 9,000 people said they were going. And I was like, it's broken, that's
Yeah.
last year. And it wasn't. And it just, now I could put something out and it'll barely do anything without a lot of money. We'd put $20 behind events and they would like take off. Like,
Yeah.
totally different.
So let me wrap this up. I mean, it has been an incredible. We've learned a lot. There have been some incredible entrepreneurs. There's a lot more entrepreneurs, and I think in season 7, we're going to start going. You know, we've had people from Minden. Now we're going to, in season 7, we're going to have some people from Ruston. We're going to have some people from Monroe. We're going to branch out because here's the truth about this whole thing. We're all on the I-20 corridor. Whatever happens on the I-20 corridor is good for everybody.
That's right.
And that is key. Right. So we're going to branch out in season 7 and bring some more in. And then I have one call to action for anybody that watches, you know, our podcast. What I would say is, we've gotten some feedback before. Definitely reach out to us, send us your thoughts, and send us the entrepreneurs that you know that are out there that you want to see on the cusp, because you never know. They just need that one thing to take them to the next level. And if we can be part of that and we can highlight their successes, come to On the Cusp. So let us know.